Good everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. So today I'll be talking about how to refactor a code, right? So in my last episode, I talked about how to develop a batch Apex, right? And so we're gonna refactor the same code, right? That's exactly what we're gonna do. So the first thing first, right? You need to have an org to do hands-on. If you haven't done so, I would highly encourage you to register for one, right? So I logged into my org. So let's jump into developer console. So to go to developer console, you go to this gearcog icon and go to developer console, right? So it will take you to this developer console. So this is a class which I developed last time, right? As you can see from this specific class, it's not very tidy, right? Because it contains a business logic inside this execute method, which is not great because the problem with doing so, right? You can't test it efficiently. You have to, write a messy test case to handle the scenario. Also, you can't reuse this code, right? So this is not a very good way to um, write a good code. So that being said, right, I just wanted to make one disclaimer, right? The way I'm gonna refactor today, that's just one way. You can do different ways. Please don't blame me saying, "Oh, this guy is doing this way." You could do a different way. Yes, there are different ways you can do it, but I'm just gonna show you one way which you can use if you're interested, right? So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So look at this code, right? What you can see from this, okay? So the first is the database, right? We have this magical string hanging around here, which is not great, right? You should not be having a SQL code inside the batch class, the first thing, okay? So that's the first problem. And the second thing, if you look at it, you can see you got the beer sold code here. You got the content document code here. So you got two different objects hanging around here doing different stuff, right? Which is not great. So let's split this into separate entity, okay? Into separate Apex class. The first thing we're going to do, I'm not going to use interfaces. You can use interface. I mean, I've used it a lot of times, but just to keep it simple, right? We're going to use normal Apex class. We're not going to do any interfaces, okay? So the first thing, we have two objects here. So the first thing we're going to do beer sold common, right? Because it just does the VS old stuff, okay? And what we're gonna do, so look at the first line of code. So we want um, this ID list, right? So we want this ID list to be used, right? So because it is getting used here, right? So what we need to do, we will need public static list of um, IDs. So this is the ID. So this is what we are after, right? List of ID. Yeah. What's it called? Get beer. What's this called? Um, we need to have a get beer info. Okay, get beer list ID for processing. Okay, so you can do, and you just need list of. Um, you just need um beer sold. Okay, so we're gonna do beer sold. Oh, come on, that's okay. So we're gonna do this. I mean, this is my favorite part. I've done a lot of refactoring in other programming languages, because I hate spaghetti code. It can give so much issues going forward, right? Because if you have a spaghetti code, then the problem will be you can't maintain the code. It's very difficult to add enhancement to it. You're going to end up in breaking existing code. So that's the reason why I hate spaghetti code. It's caused so many issues, right? So, okay. Right. Sorry, I digress. So just, let's talk about it. That's all. Um, so what we're gonna do, we are, I'm not interested in set, so I'm gonna do list. Sets are great as well. okay, you know what? Let's do set anyways, because I don't want it to change the code. Right, so we're going to do ID list. And we will do this code, copy this, and we insert be a list. Oh yeah, keep the comments there, that's fine. Return ID list. Okay, let's see. Yeah, it's going to do save. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that is because it's a be a list value. That's why this is here. Yep. Right now, why it is giving me an exception here? Let's see what's going on. Missing add. Okay, so we got this, and sorry, this one. Okay, so that's great, and let's tidy up this code. So that's fantastic. So what we're going to do, so we will do this beer common, right? So we use this, I need this beer common. Okay, so we're going to do beer common dot get beer list processing. It's going to pass this beer list here. Yeah, let's see if it works. Yeah, that works, right? No problem whatsoever. So as you can see, we have this beer. So I replaced this part of a code, right, using a method, right? So this is just like a one line of a method, right? All it's doing is it's just returning the IDs which I want to process, right? That's exactly what it is. And now, as you can see, we have to deal with content document link, right? So this is a separate class because I don't want the content document link here because, according to, if you wanted to do a solid principle, right, a class should only perform one and only thing, which belongs to the class, right? So content document link has got nothing to do with the beer sold object, right? It's a separate object, right? So I shouldn't be doing anything to do with the content document link here because a class should only perform one and only thing, right? As I said, for instance, you have a printing class. A printing class should only deal with printing, right? Printing pages or whatever. It should not do other stuff like, shipping or, buying stuff, right? It's got nothing to do with that. The same context, beer sold common should only deal with beer sold object, right? Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to do another Apex class. We're going to say content doc. Come on, link common. You can give a meaningful name for now. This will do. Okay, so what I want here, I wanted to copy this method here, right? So I'm after this because this map list will be used somewhere, right? So what we're going to do, so we will tidy up every piece of a code, okay? So it's gonna be fun, you see, and trust me, refactoring code can get tricky at times because if you're dealing with a complex, piece of a code, you have to make sure that you don't end up in breaking the functionality, right? That's the main thing you have to always remember when you refactor a code, right? It's very important to understand that you should not break the existing functionality, right, and yet make it very flexible at the same time. So what we're going to do, so we will take, so we are after a map. Okay, so that's all I'm after, this map list, right? So I'm interested into this. So what I want is that I want a method here. So we just say public static, yeah, and I'm after this map list, yeah, and I just want this map list, and I just want to say get um, linked entity map, yeah, this will do the job, right? And what exactly I'm after here, so this will be, just gonna do this. Hang on a second. So what is it after? So it's looking for ID list, right? So ID list is set. So here I can copy this and I can put it here, yeah. And I can do something like that, and I can do map. I can copy this all together, and I can do this, and I can say return. Yeah, I can do return map list. Yeah, and let me save. Okay, so let me tidy up the code. Okay, so this, no, this is, sometimes this doesn't work, but it's okay. I mean the tidy up part. So Control A, Shift Tab. Yeah, okay, that works. Excellent. Right, so this is what we're after. So what we're gonna do, so we do this. We tag this code off. Oh, sorry, not this one. We take this code off, and we're gonna do dot, and we're gonna do linked entity ID. Yeah, you know, one thing I just wanted to say that I understand that if you are starting out new, if you have never programmed before, it's often, it's a common tendency that you will end up in writing everything in one place. I have done that. I've written so much of shitty code, right, when I started out as a programmer back in the days. But that's okay. I mean, that's fine. As long as you learn it, we are allowed to make mistakes, right? Nothing wrong in making mistakes. You should make mistakes. That's how you learn it, right? If you shy away from making mistakes, then you will not learn it, right? Should not have the fear of making mistakes. Mistakes are great as long as you learn from it and don't repeat the same mistake again and again, right? So, yeah, sorry, I digress. I just wanted to, make sure you guys understand. Okay, so this is like a comparison code. So what we're gonna do? So this is like we will do. Um, so this is called. So we need to tidy this up as well, right? So we can say public static. What we can do. I will do compare. I can. Come on, which is there? What is it returning? Of course, it needs the ID list, right? So we need the set. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and so we're gonna do come on. Oh, not this place. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, that's strange. So it's just gonna. That's gonna do ID. Yeah. We're gonna do get sorted beer sold list, right? And we need to do here, we gotta pass the map, yeah, and you're gonna pass two objects here. Not this one, you can pass this one here, and we're gonna pass this, and you're gonna pass the map, yeah. So we're gonna pass the map. So that's pretty much you're gonna have to do. And so we just copy this, and so we're just going to be a list, yeah. I'm just going to do this, and you just create the set of here, and let's create it here at the top, yeah, and you're going to return it at the return, sorry, ID list. Right. So what we're gonna do, Control A, Shift Tab. So this is tidied up. Yeah, and what we're gonna do, so we're gonna do be sold, common here, and so ID list is clear. And so we're gonna do ID list equals to, it's all common. No, not this one. We'll do this, and it's gonna pass be a list, yeah, and we're gonna pass the map. So we're gonna pass the map list. Sounds easy, right? Okay. Now what we're gonna do, we have to update the last stage, yeah. So we're gonna do, so we'll do here public, yeah, static void update beer sold info, yeah. I'm gonna do this. Okay, so I'm just gonna copy this, yeah, and we're gonna copy this here. We will do this, and what is this? This is one. I'm just gonna take it off from here, and I'm gonna take it off from here. I'm gonna take it off from here. Oh, come on, this is 4. Okay, so what we need an ID list. So that is the set of ID, yeah, and we need ID list here. And so will that work? Let's see. Okay, so that's great. So what we have to do, we have to put this under try, because any sort of update operation, right, you should put under try. And yeah, so that's, and so we're gonna do catch exception ex, okay, system.debug, yeah, ex dot get message. So what we're gonna do this. Okay, we're gonna do tidy up the code, Control A. Oh, come on, Control A. Gonna do Shift Tab. Yep. So I'm slowly trying to extract the piece of the code, right? As you can see, I've splitted this part of the code. Okay, let me save this again. Something is not saving. Okay, so let me run this code. So, and this one. And I don't need this code here. Yeah, so what I can do, dot, this one. Okay, no, not this one. Update. And this one. Right. Right. Okay, so pretty good, right? So we have reduced the amount of code, which is totally dependent on this class, right? To separate classes. Now it's easy to test, right? We have get ID list processing method. We have, a class which only deals with content document link, right? Pretty interesting, right? And then we have a beer sold. See, I have segregated, the logic to respective classes here, right? Which looks pretty okay now. It's not yet done, so we have more problems here. So look at this one here, right? So this is a magical string. I hate magical string. So what we're gonna do, so we take this, okay? So I mean, we can do this better, because I do not want a beer sold so-called query here, right? Because it should be part of the BS sold, because that's the class which should handle any SOCL or anything to do with the beer sold, right? So what we're gonna do, so we will do, uh, private static final string beer circle equals to, yeah, let's see if it works. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're going to do public static string get beer circle, yeah, and it's going to do return beer circle, yeah, okay, and what we're going to do, all right, so now we have, instead of this, we can do beer circle, beer sold dot beer circle, yeah, that's great, right? So far it's great, and let's see if it works. Okay, so far it's all good, right? So we have segregated the information, the logic from this class to respective classes, right? So we extracted all the logic which has been scattered across this batch apex, and we moved that to the beer sold and content document link, right? So this looks pretty much okay. I mean, this part of the code looks okay to me, okay? So that's great. Now, what we can do, let's run it to see if it works first of all, right? Because that's more important, yeah? So we can do beer sold. I'm just going to replace it, so just to see if it works. Okay, you know what? Let's test it out. Okay, so what we're going to do, so you remember so the reason why I wrote this class, right? Because we have this field, which is there, include, right, which is set to true due to data load, right? Because we are getting a data every day using a data load or whatever, right? Or data import. And it sets this value, include doc equals to true, even though there is no file attached, right? So that's the logic. So I'm not going to explain why I wrote this class, right? The batch class. I would highly encourage you to check out my previous episode because I talked about it in detail there, right? So so what I'm going to do, I'm going to mimic the issue again, right here, just to make sure that, because it's very important you test your code. So what we do, so you're going to do a list of, so beer sold, just going to mimic the problem here, beer list equals to, so, okay, and I'm gonna do is a for loop where, no, sorry, not this one. So I'm gonna do this one. Yep, and I'm gonna do for be a list. Okay. B. Okay. All right. So we're gonna do b dot include doc equals to true. Yeah, this is exact. I mean, I know that I don't want, you must be saying, oh, this guy's not doing bulkification of the code. This guy's writing a crappy code. I understand, but this is just to mimic the code, right? I understand that. I'm not putting this code in production. I'm just mimicking faulty data. That's all I'm doing. And I barely got 8 data, so 8 records. So don't worry about it. It won't crash. Okay. Oh, sorry. My bad. Sorry, it's been a long day. So my apologies for that. Okay, so that's fantastic. So I got this. And let me run this so-called query. Let's see if I got anything. Yeah, okay. Fantastic. So everything is true, right? As you can see, which is false. Now let's run the batch class manually. So what we're going to do, I will keep this code here because we might need to do this again. So what we're going to do, what's the name of the class here again? Beer batch sold, yeah. See, my main intention is to not to make you guys a developer, but a good developer, because we have a lot of average developers out there, and I think that's enough. We don't want to put more to the list of average developers. We want an excellent one, right? Where people can write great code, the code which you can maintain it, right? And it costs less to a company, right? Think about it. You have to think from a cost perspective, from an organization point of view, right? Because if you're writing a shitty code, you're costing money to your company, right? Because then they have to invest more time in the future to fix the crappy code, right? So you have to think from that perspective as well. So that's why it's very important you write a good quality code, right? So that it costs less to a company, right? So database. Or even if you're running a company, right? If you are a CEO, right? If you hire someone, you would expect that person to write a good code, right? So that you don't have to invest a lot of money on bugs, fixing bugs, right? So, yeah, that's my analogy. But that being said, if you are someone who's starting out new, that's okay. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you learn from it. Right, so I ran this class. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to look at Apex jobs, yeah, just to make sure if it's everything okay. If it's running or if it's break, if there's an exception. Okay, completed. Let's look at the SQL query, right? So let me close this, close this. Voila, so it worked. Perfect. Okay, now we still got more work to do. All right, so now we have a problem here, another problem, okay? So as you can see, I got a lot of database operation happening in this place. I actually don't want to do that, right? I wanted to split the database layer altogether, a query layer separate, okay? So what we're going to do, so we will do a Apex class, we're going to do query selector, yeah? I mean, I could do interface, but like I said, just to keep it simple, I'm not going to do that. So we're going to do public, yeah, static, subject, yeah, and so get record. Yeah, so what we're going to do, so we're going to do SQL and so string SQL, and I'm going to do ID. Well, yeah. So we're going to do, so we're going to do return database dot query. So if you wanted to write a dynamic query, right, you can use this database dot query. That's exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to do SQL, yeah, plus. Okay, so we're going to do this, and wow. Yeah, so this is exactly what we're going to do. So I'm just going to do this. Yeah. So I'm just going to do, let's see if it works. Okay. And we're going to do public, static, yeah, list of subjects. And we're going to do get records. And I'm going to do, there's a bit of difference here. Instead of value, we're going to do list of. And you can do list, yeah. And what the heck? Okay. And we're going to do this. Yep. All right. And do this. Remember the concept of polymorphism I've talked about, right? Overloading. That's exactly what I'm doing. Okay. So we have these three classes. Okay. Three methods here. So in a query selector. So get record, get records, and this one. Okay. So what we're gonna do? So we're gonna do this. You watch what I'm doing. Okay. So we have what we have. So do we have any query here? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I will take this query in, yeah. I'll take this boy here, and I'm going to move this here to, so private, static, final, yeah. So what we do, string, Okay, you know what? Okay, so what we do for now, just a second. This is called. Wait, hang on a second. So I will do this. Okay, private static final string include true where, yeah. So this one, I just want to do this. Okay, I'll explain to you in a second what I'm doing, yeah. Now what where include in, right? So we need where um, okay. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna put this as separate space. Doesn't matter. Anyways, just the data. Oh, you know what? Nah, it doesn't matter. Just gonna put it back here. Okay, so why it's not working? Hang on a second. What is this wrong here? So something is wrong in this case. Yeah, let's see what's wrong. Ah, okay. Yeah, there's always a right. Okay, so this looks correct. Okay, so what I've done, right? So if you look at the code, right, I wanted to have a SQL query string in this code because everything to do with the beer sold should be here, right? So but I don't want this code to be duplicated again and again and again, right? So because you've seen, right? So select ID include doc, right? Select ID include doc from here. So it's pretty much a similar query, okay? And I wanted to have the same. I don't want it to write the 2, 3 strings again for the same thing, right? Because what happens is that imagine if I have select ID include doc from beer sold where 2, 3 separate SQLs. So until beer sold is the same code, right? Why to duplicate the same piece of a code, right? Duplication is bad. So instead I did this, which is pretty straightforward. And what you can do here, in this case, you can pretty much do something. What you can do here, I'll show you what you can do here. Hang on just a second. Okay, we need an ID list here. So I take this off fully, yeah, and I will take the query selector, yeah, and I'm just gonna query selector, and I just want this, and you choose get records, it will pick it up whatever it is, and I'm gonna do. So we're gonna do. So you will do. I just want to make it just be a circle. Oh, come on, get be a circle. Yeah, plus. And what we after? We are after including. Yeah. So we are after including. So we're gonna do including. Yeah. And then we are after ID list. Yeah. So what we can do. So I take this code here all together, and I can say list of beer underscore sold underscore C. I can say beer list. What's that? Okay, beer list equals to, and I can do this, and I do this. Yeah. Okay, there's an issue here, which is great. We can sort that out. And let's see what's the issue here. So invalid type. Okay, that's fine. It's not a problem here because I think I've done a mistake. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Okay, no errors, right? So that works. Okay, so we have sorted all the so-called query here. But there's one more problem here. That is update beer. I don't want an update process to happen here because I don't want any kind of database operation to happen here. So what we're going to do, so we will do here, public static, yeah, void update records, and we can do, so we can do a list of s objects, yeah, and list update list, yeah. So this is for update, okay. So what we can do here, we can do, where is it? Just gonna do the beer list. Yeah, that's fine. So what we're gonna do, so we can do database dot update. So, and if you can see partial false, sorry, boolean partial update, right? So you can do something like that. Update list, right? And you can do, if you wanted to do partial update or you wanted to do full update, that's your choice. Okay, and what we can do data. So we can do list of, yeah, database dot save result, yeah, and you can see result. Okay, and right, so what we can do, so we can do for database dot save result s. I talked about how to loop through this in one of the videos, yeah. So I'm not gonna explain, but I'll just explain anyway. So what I'm doing here, right, I'm actually creating a new method, right, where I wanted to update a record. So this is a generic update record query because you can't hard code it to be a list, right? Because every S object, every object, right, beer sold or account is all associated with an S object. So this will work, not a problem here. And I'm actually looking at partial update or full update. That's exactly what database.update does, right? So I will put a link in the description below if you don't know how the database.update partial update works. So I've talked about it in detail, right? So now I'm looping through whether it's successful or not. S dot is success, yeah. So if S dot success, so you can say, system. So system dot debug, yeah, success, right? Else, we can do. Let's loop through the errors for so database dot error. Yeah, okay, s dot getter errors, I believe. So this is, sorry. Okay, so this one I'm going to be system dot debug e dot get message. Hopefully this will work. Let's see. We'll find out. Okay, so that's great. Now what we're going to do, so we will use the query selector here, yeah, and we're going to use query selector dot what's this called, update record, update record. So we're going to do beer value, and let's say I wanted to do partial update, yeah, so that's good. So let's see if it saves, and if not, we'll figure out, yeah. It sometimes takes some time. Okay, so that's all good, fantastic, right? No worries. So we don't have any more SQL dependency here, right? As you can see, there is no SQL here. So it's all no SQL here, no SQL here. So that's good. Now let's deal with this boy here, okay? So we have this object here, and what we're going to do, so we will do similar operation here. So we're going to do public, static, final, string, cont, come on, content doc circle. This is a base query, what we're going to do. And so we do this, yeah. I'm just interested in the base query here. And it's going to do base query. Okay, and we're going to do public static final string, yeah, where linked circle, yeah. So that's going to be there. So this is exactly what I'm after. Okay, and we're going to do this nice and easy. In, yeah. Okay, so this is fantastic. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this off, yeah, and we're going to take this off as well, and we're going to do list off, and what's this called, content document link, yeah, and we're going to do cont list, yeah, query, query selector dot, get records, whatever you want it to do, because it's a set, right? So we just deal with the set. Content document link. So I'm not sure if it will going to work when I run it. We'll find out. Yeah. So that's why you need to do testing, right? Because you should not be breaking existing code. So you're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this. Yeah. Okay. Right. So now we have separate, right? Fantastic. Right. So moment of truth. So what we're gonna do? So I will run this code first of all, just to make sure I have the code running. Yeah. And so then I have to run the so-called just to check. Yeah. Okay. Oh no, not this one, not this one. So come on. So we're gonna execute it. Okay, so all true. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we will run the code here, and we're gonna do this. Okay. Moment of truth. Yeah. Let's find out what happens. Okay. So this is will be. It will be interesting. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So it's completed. Let's look at the. Okay. Oh no, man, this is again refreshing. So, all right, fantastic. So that worked, right? So it's pretty simple, right? I mean, so we have refactored the code in a slightly elegant and efficient way. I'm not saying this is the best way. You can improve it, right? But this is just one of the way you can do it, right? As you can see that there is no, uh, you know, business logic on this class, right? I've segregated that to separate classes, right? So BSOL should belongs to BSOL. So I can test it. I can do isolation testing. I can test this method. I can test this method, and I can test this method, and I can actually test the query separate, right? Because there is no query update. There's no database operation happening in this, right? It's happening in a separate class, right? Because it's not a good process to have a database operation and everything in the same class, right? It's not a good practice. It's always good to separate it out. So that's exactly what I did. I did a query selector, which deals only with a query, right? So this is one of the kind of a design pattern I've used, right? And then we have a content document link, which only deals with a content document link. I should not be using any sort of a be sold logic in this class, right? Because this is not what it is about, right? So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you liked it. This is exactly how you do a refactoring. I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of programming language you're using. You can try this in C sharp, you can try this in C++, you can try this in Java, you can try this in Delphi, you can try this in Python, right? The concept is pretty much similar everywhere, right? So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Take care. Bye bye. Adios.